Hello again, and welcome to I Wrote a Book. Today, I'm going to read the first chapter in my book one of my Chaos and Creation series, The Coming of Darkness. Winter was on the march by the time Warder arrived. It took all his attention to ensure he placed his feet securely on the wet rocks, and he had to think quickly to avoid the breaking waves that threatened to swamp him. Hopping from foot to foot, he defied his great age to move nimbly across the large round pebbles and onto the rocky foreshore, where he took the time to lean on his stout staff and contemplate the steep western slopes that lay before him. The light was fading fast by the time he stood upon the high peaks to gaze down at Longvale. Finally, when the daylight had all but gone, he reached into his steep pockets for his pipe and looked about for a place to rest. A few moments later, he was drawing contentedly on aromatic smoke as he watched the moon appear above the high horizon. Soon, the sun had set and his pipe had grown cold. When, with a shiver, he wrapped his thick woolen cloak around his long legs and pulled up his hood to protect himself from the cold night air. Sitting on the firm soil, with his back pressed against a sturdy tree, he closed his weary eyes. As he dozed, his mind turned to the feasting that was to come. The feast would be a welcome opportunity to be amongst old friends. The thought comforted him, yet so much is at stake. Worry lingered in his mind, intruding into his contentment, whispering at the edge of his consciousness as he fell into a fitful sleep. The darkness deepened as a passing cloud drifted by to obscure the light of the moon. At this moment, a large silver-grey wolf emerged from the cover of the undergrowth, moving cautiously towards him as he slept. As Warder's outline began to take shape, the wolf paused to think. He sleeps. How calm he looks, how vulnerable. He is not what I expected. The wolf leaned forward, nose twitching as it sniffed the air. It must be him. Who else would it be, sleeping under such a tree on Ash Mountain, alone and unarmed? Its eyes narrowed. If it is him, then he's either as powerful as they say he is, or he's a reckless fool. How will you decide, my friend? Startled by the uninvited voice that suddenly entered its head, the wolf instinctively leapt back, remaining quite still, initially unable to respond. In that same moment, a cloud passed, and once again the space between the two figures became illuminated by the light of the full moon. Warder leaned forward into the light before speaking with a quiet voice. I'm sorry, did I startle you? No. It's I who must apologize. The wolf took a moment to ponder. How did you... Warder interrupted her abruptly. How did I what? The wolf gathered herself. Sorry, never mind. She had decided that if this man was who she thought he was, then she should expect the unexpected. Returning to business, the wolf continued. I have news, but first I must be sure that you are who I think you are. And who do you think I am, Sister Wolf? The wolf considered for a moment, its eyes narrowing. You think me a fool? Warder shrugged his shoulders. Then how shall you know? The wolf replied, the one I seek is chosen, a friend of the ancient earth. He carries the authority of Mother Nature, a symbol of her power. Then it could be that I am the one you seek. You are he? Inquired the wolf. Looking around cautiously, Warder declared in a quiet voice, I am he. And your authority? Said the wolf with a hint of impatience. Without speaking, Warder extended his left arm, revealing a clenched fist from under his long sleeve. On his slim brown middle finger, a silver ring glistened in the moonlight. He pressed the ring hard against his forehead, and he took away his hand. He leant forward, and raising his face towards the full moon, he said, Can you see, Sister Wolf? Under the moonlight, the wolf could see the rune sign of Evermore, a tree, the emblem of Mother Nature's garden, pressed into Warder's flesh. The wolf relaxed, exhaling slowly to relieve the tension in its chest. Then, taking a deep breath and bowing its head, it continued, Lord of Evermore, allow me to introduce myself. I am Volper, Mother Nature's protector, sent to you by the Senate of Wolves. I am most honoured, noble Volper. I have been expecting you. Please call me Walder. Are you alone? For a moment Volper was perplexed. You were expecting me? Just then another cloud passed to shroud the moon, and once again the darkness deepened. Volper was about to continue when swiftly and silently, even in the darkness, what seemed to be a heavy black shadow passed over them, and the coldness of the night intensified. In a rush of wind, Volper felt inexplicably afraid for a moment. She thought she had heard the beating of distant wings. The branches of the trees began to sway and give way as their late autumn leaves scattered in the cold and eerie breeze. Volper's hackles ruffled on her back as the icy draught from the blackness appeared to pass overhead. She whispered, "What is it?" Walder did not answer, but urgently held up his hand to indicate that Volper should remain silent. A short while later, the intense coldness had passed as the bright moonlight shone through once more. Volper tried to regain her composure, realizing that she had instinctively cowered to the ground. As she did so, Walder gazed into the darkness, scrutinizing every detail of the night sky. Both remained quiet for quite some time before Walder eventually broke the silence with a polite apology. "Forgive me, noble Volper. I'm afraid I'm unable to offer you any refreshment." Distracted by the faint orange glow that emanated from the indentation on Walder's head, Volper responded with equal courtesy. "I'm grateful for your consideration, noble Lord of Light and Fire. Please do not concern yourself. I will be gone as soon as I have shared my news." Protocol satisfied, Walder sat back and relaxed once again. "As you will. Please continue. You have news." Once again the wolf looked around, cocking its head suspiciously. "I bring news from the Senate of Wolves. Dark magic has scorched the land and fractured the high peaks. The enemy has broken through, this time further south." She paused to glance upward. Forbidding shadows roam the skies while the tribes of havoc prepare for war. Walder gazed up again into the starlit night, his stern expression illuminated by the brightness of the full moon. "The demon of darkness has awakened. I have felt it. Your words confirm my worst fears." Both were reminded of the need for caution as another cloud drifted past the bright moon, casting shadows all around them. "The Senate has sought advice from the scholars of the ancient text. They fear these dark shadows portend the arrival of a new and terrifying warlord." Walder nodded. "As we speak, his fearsome army masses in the east, and dark shadows roam the western skies." Volper hesitated before continuing in hushed tones. "Then it has begun." Walder nodded his head slowly. "Yes, my friend, it has." Another long silence passed between them before Volper spoke again. "The Senate calls upon all who live in light and harmony to have courage in this dark hour, Lord Walder." Volper looked around as if to reassure herself that no one else could hear. "He seeks to bring about a new dawn. The dawn of chaos." Walder smiled reassuringly. "As long as the source of Mother Nature's power remains hidden, there is hope." Volper was relieved. Hope? Our hope rests with the men of these islands. They must know what lies ahead and the true nature of that which threatens them. Many questions remain. Volper hesitated. "The men of the West, they will resist?" Walder was reassuring. "It is written, do not underestimate the resolve of men, my friend." Volper appeared relieved. "Together the great beasts and allied tribes of men will rise up against the forces of chaos." Walder gathered his thoughts and knelt before the wolf to place his hand upon its powerful neck. "The time draws near, Sister Wolf. Go back to your kind. Tell them to go north. There, the King of Bears will gather a mighty army. Tell the Senate to wait for word from the noble Kawak. Now, until we meet again, go quickly and beware the darkness of chaos." Walder looked up warily into the night sky. "Prepare yourself and your kind, for the reign of havoc may have already begun." Into the light of day. The following morning, Walder woke as the first rays of the late autumn sun struck the frozen leaves of the forest, and all at once the wet leaves fell to the forest floor in a shower of golden brown. Motionless, he watched, wondering at the beauty of nature, recalling the news confirmed for him by Volper. The dark shadows that soared across the western skies threatened the dawning of a terrifying new age. He knew that should they succeed, even would he live, the wonders of nature such as he had just witnessed would no longer exist. The thought deeply saddened him. Soon, too soon, the coming of darkness was a burden of knowledge he would have to share. As he walked down the valley, he put aside his troubles and began to focus on his plan. There was much to do. Stooping under the slender bough, he emerged from beneath the tree line to enjoy the bright light of day once more. He loved the cool embrace of the forest, but he was happy to be out of its shadows. Looking to his right, he could see the stone roof tiles of the Wolf Hart homestead in the distance, smoke already rising from the small tall chimneys. Its once imposing battlements and tall towers now domesticated and extended to accommodate visiting lords, goodmen, and honoured guests alike. By tonight those accommodations would be full and the great halls lit up with the fire of roasting pits. Warmed by the early morning sun, he opened his stride, reckoning that he would be at the homestead by late morning. As he went, he picked wild berries and began to sing an ancient song in a tongue few who would have heard him would recognize. Across the tarnished land they wandered, banished, lost in fear, until at last they came to safety, led, they say, by Dragon Weir, forged by hand of nature, guardian of light and harmony, Olga, queen of dragons, for evermore and eternity. Singing this song helped him to banish his worries, allowing his thoughts to return once again to the feasting that would follow the annual assembly of the Lords of Ulder that evening. Meanwhile, in the distance, two shadowy figures were watching from the cover of the forest. The taller of the two was first to speak. He's in buoyant mood. Perhaps he has yet to hear the news. The other figure, a short and stocky build, emerged from the cover of the trees to stand alongside his companion. Oh, he knows all right. He paused in contemplation. Do you think he knows we're here? His taller, more slightly built accomplice responded without expression. Perhaps, perhaps not. We shall find out in time.